fierce spotlight of war focuses on Moresby, Australia's front line. Reinforcements for the troops who have held this Tobruk of the Pacific so long and so gallantly arrive with heartening frequency. AIF and militiamen are welded together in the blood brotherhood of the Australian Army. With American troops now alongside them, it is in truth the Allied Army. The waterfront has had its share of attention from Japanese bombers, but damage is surprisingly small. Moresby Hotel and business as usual. That's when they can get any to sell. And all of the locals have not gone bush. According to Radio Tokyo and to the Ananias of Berlin, Moresby is merely a ruin. Well, what do you think? The Japs are only a few miles away across the Owen Stanley Range, and the rapid completion of formidable defenses is a vital and urgent task. Sweating diggers, without benefit of bulldozers and modern road-making plant, go to the job in the old-fashioned way. It's all hands to the pick. Vital lines of communication must be opened. Spit and polish, new army style. Hardship, Jap bombers, malaria, mosquitoes that pick you up and throw you down. Nothing can dampen that Aussie spirit. Not even water. Up country, into the foothills of the Owen Stanley Range. The lads have settled down in comfortable quarters. The New Guinea native is noted for his high standard of intelligence and builds himself a fine home. The entertainment officer has to depend on local talent, but while the troops admit they'd prefer a ballet of beauteous blondes, they want to record just the same that those fuzzy-wuzzies sure can shake a wicked hip. New Guinea Mounted Rifles, Moresby equivalent of the VDC. Already they've performed splendidly, and with their unexcelled knowledge of bushcraft and jungle law, much is expected of them in the guerrilla-type warfare, Papua may soon know in increasing extent. In the dawn, bombers are warming up for another sortie against Lae and Samoa, the North Coast ports seized by Japanese early in the Pacific conflict. The alliance of American Army Air Force and the RAAF is truly signified in the fact that the American bombers usually carry an Australian co-pilot. Right now, they're bent on sending down high explosive to put a crack or two in Nippon's Greater East Asia movement, which is making a somewhat hectic start 170 miles to the north. Like racehorses going to the barrier, Aerocobra fighters muster for the takeoff. The Aerocobra is fast and of unusual design. The motor is amidships, behind the pilot. It is a short hop to Lae and Samoa. Now, however, the enemy has established himself at Gona and Buna, only 100 miles from Moresby. At Gona, he is directly across the air route of attack on Rabaul from Moresby. A dose of modern geography is good medicine for those still suffering from complacency. In 8 months, the Japanese have walled in the eastern Asiatic continent. They have protected their northern flank by the occupation of portion of the Aleutians. Isn't it logical to expect that Japan will want to do something about the open southern flank? Wishful thinking won't stem the yellow tide. The bombers are coming into land. All aircraft returning. But one's in trouble. Watch the most sensational aircraft shot of the war. That bomber's undercarriage has been shot away. He has to crash land. The lives of the 5 men and his crew hang on her skipper's skill. Only a miracle can save them. That's the finest piece of real thing airmanship ever recorded on film. The crash wagons are out, but there's no casualties, save the rear gunner, wounded by the burst of flak that shot her landing gear away. And the communique will laconically say, Lae and Samoa were again raided. All planes returned safely. But Moresby's bomber traffic is by no means one way. The Nips are a wing and coming in force. There they are, over 20,000 feet up, and in perfect formation. There's a scramble in sight, and the fighter pilots are climbing aboard even as the alert is sounding. Man your guns or take cover. Close enough, but it was a small one. The Cobras rocket into the sky. High above the bombers, Zeros will be lurking. The Japs have a special mission. The motor ship MacDewey, for years well known in the island trade. This newsreel reporting of the MacDewey's end is vivid high drama and one of the classics of the war. A salvo all around her. Look closely. She's at center and still afloat. One hit her forward, killed 10 men. She's afire, but gallant merchant seamen are fighting that fire. And they've beaten it. They've got it out. The Japs have turned tail. And the MacDewey is coming into berth. Just like that. Hit by a bomb. Men killed. A fire. The constant threat of renewed attack. But she comes alongside to discharge her cargo, because the men of Moresby need what she has. Such is the stuff of the men of the merchant marine. The Japs hadn't had enough. Action stations. It's the same story over again, and over and over and over again in the lives of the men of Moresby. MacDewey is underway again, gamely battling for room to maneuver. But her fate is sealed. She goes to her doom. Got her. 3 direct hits. The MacDewey is afire from stem to stern and sinking. A gallant battle lost. But it's our turn. A Jap's coming down. MacDewey is no more. What could we say in tribute to the men who sailed in her that would not sound trite beside the stark heroism of their actions? A Zero is in the day's bag. First pictures of the Japanese fighter which has helped prove that Japan had anything but a fourth-rate air force. The experts, you'll remember. By doing what they are doing, as well as they are doing it, those boys are saving you and me and our wives and our families from the horror of enemy attack. Is it too much for them to expect that we, in the safety of the home front, in the factories, in the shipyards, in the offices, in the mines, will carry on as tenaciously and as cheerfully as they? It is for us as much as for them to keep the Australian standard floating above the Tobruk of the Pacific.